Hey, Big Brother fans. So overnight in the BB26 house, T'Kor and Kimo started making diabolical plans to defy head of household Tucker. They are gearing up to flip the vote again in a most surprising way if the AI arena shakes out with Brooklyn still on the block. It seems like Kimo and T'Kor are feeling pretty gutsy after pulling off that other Blindside last week and going against their alliance. But, you know, they paid no real consequences, and so they're back to plotting. And once again, it's against their own allies. The big lucky break for them when they saved Rubina was that Tucker won HOH the night she was saved in the live eviction last week. If it had been one of the allies they betrayed that won the boss seat, you know, Kimo and T'Kor might have been in trouble. Instead, with Tucker running things, they have been completely safe this week. And the three who voted as the alliance had agreed they vote are the ones on the block: Brooklyn, Cam, and Chelsie. Those three, of course, voted to evict Rubina, the apple of Tucker's eye. But if one of them had won HOH, you know, we'd probably be looking at T'Kor and Kimo on the block. That was a close call, but they're back to tempting fate again. Tucker has made it clear Brooklyn is his target, but of course he doesn't get to decide how anybody votes. But he is a comp beast, likely to win again, even if he's put on the block. So blindsiding him may not be the wisest choice. And unless one of T'Kor and Kimo's allies or one of those two wins the next head of household, they could be sitting next to each other on the block if they try and pull this off. The bottom line, T'Kor and Kimo want to keep Chelsie and Brooklyn both, and they want to see Cam sent out on Thursday night. That's an interesting turn for another reason. T'Kor was just talking about not liking to see people of color on the block and evicted, but she and Kimo are the ones who actually sent Cedric packing, and now they are trying to target Cam. All that aside, T'Kor and Kimo do want Cam out. Problem is, Tucker and Cam have been bonding. He doesn't want him to go. The HOH has also been bonding with Leah and Makensy, who hung out in his room like weirdo creepers while he was asleep for a couple of hours. It was weird. And then another weird thing with Leah, by the way, she was sitting in the bathroom, picked her nose, popped a booger in her mouth, ate it, and then announced to T'Kor and Kimo what she did. I mean, ugh, full body shiver, ick out, just blah. Anyway, boogers aside, Quinn is grateful to Tucker right now, and Angela is practically the HOH's mom. So it's hard to see if they would find the votes to flip the house, even if T'Kor and Kimo do decide to go into full blindside mode. Now they are talking about maybe not blindsiding him and instead bringing the plan to Tucker to consider. The problem with that is if Kimo and T'Kor broach it to Tucker and he says, no, that's the worst thing, then they do it anyway, then it'll be more than a blindside, it'll be an active betrayal because Tucker knows Brooklyn's coming for him. She has made it very clear. I mean, Tucker already knew that Brooklyn was gunning for him because he's the biggest threat in the house, but she spelled it out. She told him that before he put her on the block, that Angela was her target, and now that he's done this, you know, so he knows, and they know, the whole house knows. So what's also ironic in all this is T'Kor is trying to protect Chelsie, who wants to evict T'Kor very soon. She doesn't want her in the house. Chelsea's always talking about that behind her back. T'Kor has no idea. Brooklyn does, but she's not going to tell her what's coming out of Chelsea's mouth. And so while T'Kor and Kimo are scheming how to get their way, you know, and are debating blindside versus pitching the plan, Joseph was over in Tucker's ear, and he warned him that Kimo and T'Kor are coming for him and cannot be trusted. And, you know, Quinn's kind of salty about those two flipping last week. So it's hard to say where he'd land because they still have been kind of working him and massaging him a little bit. But the thing is, T'Kor has said she's not afraid of hitting the block because she wants to really play and not play scared in BB26. What's interesting also is how close Rubina is to Kimo and T'Kor. And Tucker has noticed that she's spending a lot of time with them, but I'm not sure if he realizes how much they're crawling under her skin and into her brain. Rubina's also not happy about everybody else eating up Tucker's time. Joseph and Cam are camping out with him. Even Kimo has been up there as much as he can. It's Makensy and Leah that are more on her radar. Rubina doesn't see them as a threat to what she has with Tucker, but the fact that they're all up there all the time does bother her. And Leah and Makensy seem oblivious or in active denial that Tucker is all about Rubina. So T'Kor and Kimo talk to Rubina about evicting Cam in revenge for Tucker not nominating Makensy like they wanted him to. And Rubina's kind of down with seeing Makensy out, even though she has been hanging out with them. And mind you, Tucker saved Quinn because that's what all of them wanted him to do. So basically, they're just salty that Chelsie is on the block instead of MJ. So the big question is, why did T'Kor and Kimo want to keep Brooklyn? They're not besties with her, and Tucker's a huge target, and he can't play in this Thursday's HOH comp after the eviction. Brooklyn is a competitor, even though she hasn't won anything yet, and she would absolutely nominate Tucker if she wins HOH. And T'Kor and Kimo know that Cam and Joseph would not nominate Tucker, so having Brooklyn around to target people they want targeted without them getting their hands dirty is a win. And also interesting in all this plotting that Kimo and T'Kor are doing, nonstop whispering and scheming, is they keep talking about targeting duos, but they are a duo in the house, and they're not seeing that. They're basically a platonic showmance, and neither Kimo or T'Kor are actually comp beasts, so they're just playing a risky game. If they push for this, wind up on the block, they're probably not going to be able to pull themselves down. And Quinn may lean towards voting with them. So optimistically, 3 votes. If Chelsie or Brooklyn comes off the block in the AI arena by winning it, they would join, which would give them 4 votes to evict Cam, but they need 5. Chelsie and Brooklyn, if they're on the block, I don't know if they would have the votes to save Brooklyn. They would if Rubina went against Tucker and joined in. 9 votes up for grabs. You need 5 this week. No chance of a tie, so Tucker has got no say over the votes at all, not even a tiebreaker. And what's troubling to some extent is T'Kor and Kimo don't seem to have a good read on where some of the other house guests' heads are at. They think Chelsie will actually step away from Brooklyn, and T'Kor thinks Brooklyn will target people that they want out. Part of that is true, but the Chelsie stepping away from Brooklyn, I think T'Kor is off the mark because Brooklyn, Chelsie, and Makensy have that whole Sisters in Christ vibe going. I don't think it is going to go the way that T'Kor thinks it will if they keep Brooklyn and if they can also keep Chelsie. And of course, Kimo talking to Chelsie, she assured him that she's not going to nominate T'Kor. That's not even on her radar, except it totally is. And they just don't know what they'd be unleashing. I think they don't have a clear big picture of the house. And of course, Tucker would come for them. And Chelsea's already planning to come for T'Kor. So vote flipping may not give them any safe harbor with anybody in the house. If they pull it off, or if they vote that way and then don't pull it off, either way, they may get Rubina and Quinn pulled in with them. Maybe, it's all down to a whole bunch of maybes in another big move that maybe they're repeating because it, turned out well for them, but I just don't think they're thinking it through. Tucker is a little annoyed that T'Kor and Kimo have been monopolizing Rubina's time, so he's not getting time with her that he wants. And, Kimo and Rubina are still talking a final 4 with them, T'Kor and Tucker. Rubina and Kimo have been working on T'Kor to trust Tucker. She seems to be leaning towards it. But then late last night, she woke Kimo up about flipping the house again. and she had to go into the have-not room to wake up Kimo, but she woke up Angela accidentally as well. So I'm just very interested to see if Angela takes that info back to Tucker today. When Joseph warned Tucker about T'Kor and Kimo, he heard him, but he wasn't necessarily 100% believing him because he really wants to trust them and he thinks they have a bond. But then if Angela comes with this additional info, you know, Tucker is going to do some deep thinking and just will see. By the way, none of this should be on tonight's CBS edited episode, which is the Power of Veto episode, where we'll see them play hide and go seek. Hopefully they'll show Brooklyn trashing everybody's stuff, which she has been lying about to Tucker's face. And then some of this plotting should make it to Thursday's live eviction episode. We'll see. There could be an absolutely lit day on the feeds on Wednesday if Angela reports back to Tucker and he starts digging in more about whether Joseph's warning about T'Kor and Kimo has legs. We will update you on more live feeds action. Tonight's episode should not really be a surprise, other than we're going to get to see exactly what Tucker said when he used the veto on Quinn. So definitely watching for that. But aside from that, I don't know if we're going to get anything else new if you're somebody that keeps up with the live feeds. But check back here soon. And we are always talking BB26 every day. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.